the only way to start your day.
Has one of the great lakes in the continent, and this is Lake Malawi. So Lake Malawi occupies 20% of the total landmass in the country. And one of the things that stands out is the different species of fish that Lake Malawi has, more than many lakes across the world. But then again, also the sunset that many enjoy because of that lake is just beautiful. Considered to be one of the best in the continent as well. But the problem that you get is the mosquito told the elephant, your size is impressive, but your skin is still my dinner plate. The mosquito told the elephant, your size is impressive, but your skin is still my dinner table. How would you interpret it?
Your size is impressive.
But your
skin
still my dinner table.
I need to sit on your skin to survive. So you are important all around. Your skin is great, but I need your skin to survive on it. I need to sit there. So you're not there by accident, but you are there for a divine purpose.
You, the elephant, is there for me, the mosquito.
Is there for me. I must survive through you.
I like that.
Yeah.
It seems that in the same kind of engagement, we're unable to divorce political activity from the slurs that we are seeing currently. And I know what we've said about the tongue. Can it be tamed? If it's not tamed, it can cause a lot of damage. And that damage seems to be rearing its ugly head again, so much so that it's forced the NCCK to wake up from its slumber and call out 3 people about their behavior and start to investigate on that. Is it possible to actually engage in what would be considered as heavy political activity without a lot of the speech that we see that could be considered hate speech?
It is possible. I want to begin by saying it is possible. When it comes to this issue of the tongue, it is possible if Kenyans will wake up from slumber, not only those independent bodies, Kenyans should wake up from slumber and know what kind of leaders to pick. And they should pick from knowing that we are a country that is led by 2 books. The first book is the Constitution, and the other book is the Scripture and the Quran. We are a country of books. So how is it possible? It's possible if we go to those books and identify leaders from those books. But if we identify books from anywhere else from different interests, then it would be difficult to identify. If you go to the book that I read on a daily basis, it says in Luke 6:45, a man speaketh from the bottom of the heart. Out of the heart, a man speaketh. So from there, you can now identify and know what a man speaks, that is what he is. He speaks from the evil. If he's evil in the heart, it comes out. So when he speaks from there, you can identify a leader. So is it possible? And then the other book we call the Constitution. The Constitution is so clear on Hutu, chapter 6. If you read those 2 books and look at them and follow them, we'll be able to pick the right leaders. But if we follow something else, if we follow the manipulation, if we follow what we call hero worship, then it would be so difficult to identify. If we follow where my mother came from, it would be so difficult for me to identify a good leader. But if we follow the holy books, that I wake up and say, okay, I'm looking for a leader. How do I get a leader? I know that a leader is set apart to lead. A leader is set apart to make sure that it's an opportunity to lead. And what he speaks, it can create fire. A leader who will sit down and pay blockers to gaslight another one, that's not a leader. What you need to do when that happens, that's not a leader. And then what is supposed to happen? Me and you, we need to wake up from slumber and identify these people. I'm so glad the other day, the Standard came up with some phases, and they identify phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I'll stand here and ask, what have we done as Kenyans? Are we waiting for the book we call Constitution has identified 3 bodies in that book. And the 3 bodies, NCIC, IEBC, NCIC, IEBC, and there's NIC, ICBC. Which one is this?
Yes,
police.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are independent people. Those three bodies are supposed to be working around to identify, after the standard came up with those faces, what have we done? Because when it comes from faces, we'll be able now to identify, is it a leader who was in the ground? Again, my book said, a man speaketh right from the bottom of his heart. So it's about the software, not the hardware. So what are we struggling with? We are struggling with the software. Are we able to identify the software before we go to the hardware? Hardware is what you see. Software is what's inside.
I mean, Dr. Based off the book that is called The Constitution that you've just referred to, it stipulates exactly what ought to be done and what should not be done.
Yes.
Yet, individuals that have even been called by NCIC are individuals who one would say are at positions that are respectable. You know, they're positions that Kenyans have entrusted them to hold it in trust for them. They should lead as an example. But we hear things they are saying, and even what they say after being asked to apologize, and one asks the question, they know exactly what it is they are doing. That this book that is called the Constitution, that has the do's and don'ts, the terms and conditions for everyone, is just another suggestion for them. How do we cure that?
I can tell you, those individuals from the software, they know. But the hardware is because of their selfish interest. Even when they speak the way they are speaking, it's not because they are serious. They know they are wrong from the software. But hardware, they are following their own interest. I tell you what, the key person here is the crossroad, is Wanjiku, is me and you, that is supposed to hold them accountable. You know, we are in a crisis because this person has gaslighted other people. This person calls other people different names. And you know what we do? We clap for them. We celebrate them. As we celebrate them, then we add fire there. Then we make them think they are great. It is a high time we as Kenyans, we wake up and say no to that kind of behavior style. Because if you know that this person's software has a problem, if what he speaks, then he says, oh, it was a sleight of the tongue, misquoted. You are not misquoted. That's what you are. So it is we to take action. Actually, it is a high time Kenyans come together and make decisions on these people, so that when they gaslight other people like that, we run away from those rallies. We disappear from those rallies, whether we have been given money or not. Take the money. When they gaslight somebody, run away because money is not theirs.
How do you get people to stop insulting others? Because we have seen, and it might sound like I'm saying something that a 5-year-old would say to another 5-year-old. But the truth of the matter is that when we want to whittle it down to what a lot of conflicts that we've seen around the world have created, they started with a single word.
Yep.
And it just took a little strike of a match to get a fire going, as it usually does. How do you get people to be conscious of the things that they say, bearing in mind that they can actually cause a very big issue?
I said we begin with you. Actually, it's a high time now citizens themselves need to go to court and demand accountability. We as citizens. And it's a high time that we as Kenyans, especially using the two books, we the religious men, we need to speak out, speak unto those things. And then as a community, it's a high time we come up and just walk to court, go to court and put cases in different courts and demand accountability from those people. And then Kenyans should be a level whereby they demand ethical vibes. The ethical vibes, the accountability. How do you demand? You demand by speaking it out. Faith comes by hearing. Speak to them. Tell them they have a problem. Tell them we don't want to hear them. But when they speak and we clap hands, we celebrate their presence. We celebrate what they are talking. Then we add sugar to that tea. And then they think they are doing right. So what are we supposed to do? First of all, let's make sure that when they are speaking, we walk out of those rallies. And then that should be, again, the measuring line. That should be the canon to know who is a leader. We should identify. They need to know that when you speak those kind of things, you are not a leader. You are something else. So how do we get them to accountability? Again, the good three books are so clear. There is what we call the independent in those books. I say the IEBC. Are they independent? We need to move from I shall, we shall, I will, we will. We need to ask from the good book, which has set up these two courts. There are these two courts, NCIC, IEBC, the police. We need to ask to make sure they emphasize on the I in those bodies. Independent police. Not only independent IEBC, independent NCIC. If they are independent in their thought line and their action, and it must be seen to be independent, not just saying that we are independent. For example, how do you get to stop? I said again, the Standard recently came up with specific faces. 1, 2, 3. We expect those faces to be in court right now. We expect those faces to have been identified. The Standard might have been wrong, but we expect to say that this one has been set free by the courts because it was picked and is now in the court. This one is now happening. The NCIC, they also need to come up and say, we are moving from I will to tafanya, to taruka, kutakua, to we are doing it.
I mean, these agencies that you speak about, with the independence that they do have,
do they have independence?
Many Kenyans have accused them of exactly not having that independence, because it is not the first rodeo that we are seeing in the country with regard to inflammatory messages that are being spewed, especially by the political class. It is something that has been there time and time again. But even as now we see NCIC has invited individuals to go give their statements and all that, is it a little bit too late? Have we let them run amok for a long time that right now nobody trusts these institutions to deliver on their mandate?
I think they might not be late because, as I said, a man speaketh from his heart, but it's so difficult to know what's in a man's heart before he speaks. Now that they have spoken, those individuals, and they've been called upon to account for what they have done. We as the society, we need to support those independent for NCIC. NCCK has one of us chairing that NCIC. Now, what we need to do is rally behind them and make sure we also keep him running to make sure that he moves from I will, I shall, we will to I am doing.
How do they change the notion that they are just a toothless dog? All they do is bark but not
We
bite?
need to see actions, measurables. We need to see measurables, actions. We need to see some people in court. We need to see some people who have been set free. Some people have been in jail. We are here to see. We are here to see great people like those are now in court. Just as we saw another case the other day. There is one that we are waiting to see. We have seen that case go through. And since these cases are going through, we need to see something happen in this area of accountability coming from the misuse of the tongue.
What kind of danger do we actually look at from some of these things that I said? I mean, just going through some things that have actually been tabled. And again, going to some of the conflicts that we see happen in different parts of the world that came from something that one would just imagine that they were small things and they didn't really matter. But what kind of danger lies in not doing something about some of the things that we're already seeing?
First of all, the nation will not take us serious. The money will not take us serious. But danger, there are so many. 207. 207 began like a joke. It was from people's mouth. If you study the history of the world, look at what happened in Rwanda. If you have visited Rwanda and you follow the story, it came out of people's mouth. What a man speaketh, whether you are serious or not. The danger that is there will end up having unethical individuals in leadership. Because if we start celebrating hero celebration, the hero worship, we'll find yourself having people who are not supposed to be in the offices. And what's the danger? There will be no development. What you call development. What's the danger? The danger is where we are right now, where we are being told by the controller of budgets that 70% of what we have, we are paying taxes. We are paying debts. If we are paying debts, what about development? And then the question is, where is that money? Who used the money? So what kind of danger? Poverty, illiteracy, non-development, people living without basic needs. What kind of danger? What kind of danger is what's happening in the hospital? No medication. What's happening in schools? Those are the dangers. And what are we being told? We are manipulated and dominated to think we are developing. What kind of development is there? So the danger is it will always boil down to the crossroad.
Yeah.
It will come down to Wanjiko. It will come down to children having no school. It will come down to some people sitting under a tree. And somebody say there is development. So what development is there?
In one way or the other, there has to be political responsibility. Why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, everything, especially when it comes to leadership of the country, politics is there. And you look at individuals who've been summoned, all of them are politicians in one way or the other. So you look at the Cabinet Secretary, Eden Duale, who's been asked to appear before NCIC. You look at CS Ruku, again, another politician. You look at Rigathi Gachagua, another politician. And with that being seen and the basis that they do control, how much of a concern is it, especially to the clergy, on what it is they see being spewed from the political class?
As the clergy, what we need to do, we need first of all to be guided by our mind and understand politicians, they are not enemies. Politicians are just protecting their interest. And if you look at them sincerely, they are not serious. That's why they'll throw those words in the air. They'll pay blockers to gas fire others. But in the evening, they are at Serena Hotel taking tea together. So what's the issue? It is we, Kenyans should know that they are on. God for us all. So what are we supposed to do? Kenyans should unite and just say no. Because those politicians, you look at them critically, this is not the first time. Some of them, we know them, we have lived around them for a long time, and they laugh at it. You think they are serious? In the evening, you found them in Serena Hotel taking a cup of tea together. They are just playing games. We are their food.
Daktari, they might not be serious in what it is they say, but the effect, the ripple effect that it has among their supporters and the people is where the danger is at. Like we've just said, some of the worst atrocities committed in this world, emanated from what was said. They might not be serious, but the ripple effect of that then to the masses, including the people that you shepherd, is concerning. As a clergy then, when we hear these words being spewed, as much as they might not be serious, what is the concern? How concerning is it to the clergy that we might say it's not serious, but the ripple effect is where the danger is at?
When you look at them, in their mind, they are not serious, because if they were serious, they would have thought about their software. But when you see what comes out, you wonder whether this person is serious. But to us on the ground is so dangerous for us, because it divides us. And that's why we have to take our responsibility and let Kenyans know, Kenyans, we are not enemies of one another. And these people, what they do, they are just playing some games around us. Kenyans are always together. We are only manipulated and dominated by these people so that they can gain a mile from us. So they are taking advantage of the desperate Wananchi. And when they take advantage of you, desperate Wananchi, this is where we end up in this kind of a situation. So what's the danger ahead of us? The danger ahead of us that we are likely to follow them, and then we destroy our own country. We only have one country. We only have a house. And somebody will light that kibrit from that corner, and then we burn the little we have made just because of him. And the dangerous part of it, Nikwamba, it is we the Wananchi will suffer. It is we that the Wananchi are at Olympic will suffer. Most of these people, their children are in Harvard. Their children are not even here. Some of them they are not even at Harvard. They are on the streets in the US. They are downside Birmingham. Whatever they are doing, they might be great, but they are not within, because they have the money they stole from the normal Wananchi through this kind of behavior. And so what are we saying? It is tricky and it's not acceptable to allow them to mess us through the irregular and unacceptable speeches.
There are some who've blatantly said they won't apologize. Some of these stories that we see, there's, people, colleagues are now telling each other that they're not going to apologize. I mean, what a picture for the country to then be able to look at. If somebody has already taken the stance that they've not done anything wrong and there's really nothing to apologize for, are we going to be able to make any headway?
When they say they are not going to apologize, they are just testing our stability. They are testing our mind. I say those people are not serious, because when things are so hard on them, they are saying that to make themselves comfortable. They are not that they are serious. When they are pushed to the corner, they normally apologize. Like sometimes they are caught in court and they say, I'm not coming. Finally, they end up there. We have seen many who have said, I will not resign unless I'm dead. And then you see them come and resign when they are alive. So it is we, the Kenyan people, that need to put pressure on them. That game, they are trying to please a few that believe in them, a few that are hero worshippers that worship them. And then they say, yeah, you have said it. But for sure, it is the space they are. We need to narrow down the space where they'll come and speak and say, we'll not apologize. We need to prevail on them and tell them, you have to. Because not apologize, it means somebody else should say that. What to them will follow that way of speech.
Daktari, one thing we've established is when these individuals speak, they are not serious, right? They say they will not apologize, right? To test the grounds. When they're pushed to the corner, they finally get to apologize. How sincere is the apology? Because at the end of the day, one would say, at the end of the day, I will apologize. I will come, I will spew my hate, I will say what it is I want. I will say I will not apologize. Put to the corner, I will apologize and move. To institutions, NCICs, EACC, police, who equally know the country we are in, and individuals who will intentionally break the law because they know, I will still apologize. How should they move to stop it from happening again?
First of all, I want to say that from the good book I read, faith comes by hearing. We need to hear them speak by their mouth. And then we go to the other book we call the Constitution. Now, from my book, faith comes by hearing, and I take care of the software. And then we go to the other three books that I've said, the other book we call the Constitution. And then from there, we follow them systematically. Apologizing will not stop you from going through the structures laid by the society for you to become a better person. We go back now to the police. So the police need to follow it up, take a case, and take it to court. We go back to IEBC. IEBC should just wake up and discontinue those people from vying any position in the country. We go back to this NCIC. NCIC should bring up a case quickly and take them to court. So to say will not apologize, just a gimmick. It's a gimmick you have to please your followers. But the question is, yes, I will not mind for you to speak it out because faith comes by hearing. When you speak it out, we hear, we'll come up and say, yes, he has spoken about it. But the bodies, the independent bodies need, despite... I think it's a high time that as we think about these bodies, the parliament and in the other book we call Constitution, we need to sit down and find out what really makes these bodies, that is the NCIC, the IEBC, and the police become toothless. I think it's a high time as Kenyans we need to sit together and reorganize the appointment of these particular reorganizations. How to structure it so that we disorganize them, we dislocate them completely from the executive so that they become independent.
So that they really become independent.
So they really become independent.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back and look at what that independence really means.
Yes.
Because perhaps it's easy to call some of these bodies toothless because of the fact that the independence is actually not there. Okay, so let's come back and continue this conversation with Dr. Alphonse Kanga. We'll come back after this and we'll then see if the one is tied to the other.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we deal with those issues, then we'll go to independency. Because we can be independent, we can talk to have the eye independent, and yet we depend on somebody outside to make a decision for us. So the question is, we need to come up as Kenyans, realize, how independent are we? Independent means I make my decisions without hero worship, without following without getting instruction from above or from the left or from the right. I'm independent, guided by the two books, either the Holy Book or the Constitution.
Yeah. How does the government then come in as a good set of example? Why do I say that? Because today, as we speak, two of the individuals who have been summoned are cabinet secretaries, and cabinet secretaries have an appointing authority. And in terms of setting an example on what should be done and what must not be done, one would expect that the highest office in the land, or rather the appointing authority, would take some action, send people packing, summon them, warn them, in one way or the other. How does that level then failure to act lead to continuation of the ills that we continue to see?
I think the question would be, how is that high level different from the person speaking? What's the difference? What's the difference between that high level and here? Is it just paperwork or it is mindset? Because we must develop a mindset where the high level means and the low level means and the middle level means. Are we different? And again, it goes again, how do we create these individuals in the offices? I want to tell you that we always have a responsibility to reorganize and organize, to listen to one another and say, this is what we want. Can we take the two books in our hands, the Constitution, and then take the two books, the Quran or the Bible, look at them and come up with the leaders, so that we don't end up with this issue of hero worship. We don't end up with this issue of tribal worship, organizational worship, this issue of being selfish. So the difference between the upper and the low, what's the difference? This is just the office. And then again, come back to me and you. Have we put enough demand on that person? Have we put pressure on that person on top of that to say, take care of your house? Because I'll expect, if he has said, I'm not going to worship, if I'm in the upper office than him, I'll come back on him and tell you, please worship, withdraw, or you walk out.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But if what he was saying came from me, then I'll not do it. So it depends. Did we sit in a boardroom and then decided what to go and say? If the upper person will not speak to this person, then it means he came from a boardroom to go and speak. And so what are we supposed to do as Kenyans is to sit down, ask ourselves, what's the next course? We have an answer when we have the ballot.
So what if this person was appointed, obviously not to then remain independent or to be independent in the first place, who then, rules the pack, but to actually sing the song of the appointing authority? How do you then, you almost can't guarantee independence when somebody has been put in a position to push a particular agenda, as we have known has happened before. So how then can you even say that such a body would be independent? Where would you start from? Because if I appoint you and I expect you to do my bidding to a certain extent, then the independence flies out the window.
Yes, the consumer should be able to make a decision. The consumer, who is me and you, need to make a decision, because I need to see the appointing authority, because the appointing authority was appointed by me. And then he goes ahead to appoint that one. So it is me to sit down and ask myself, is it possible I might have made a mistake? I started by saying, the good book says, a man speaketh right from his heart. What a man speaketh, that's who he is. If a man sits down and structures blockers to go and gaslight other people, that person is not a leader. If a man sits down and abuses the other, and then you look at it and say, now, what is supposed to happen? That person has an issue. So how independent is he going to be independent? He's going to be independent so long as me, the employer, is going to put some demands on him or her to say no to this and no to this. But again, it is me and you that celebrate these people when they are abusing one another. It is me and you that needs to sit there and we don't put clear our expectation. Have we ever walked to the Inspector General and told him, Inspector General, this is what we expect? Let's this time walk to yesterday we were with the NCCK, and we put our demands on him as a religious group. This is what we expect.
Which is what?
We expect accountability. We expect you to act. We don't want to hear nitafanya, nitakwenda, I will, we will. We want to hear it's happening and see it happen. That's the accountability we are demanding. So we as Wanjiko on the crossroad, we need to know our rights and wake up, and we need to speak about it. Because we can complain and say they are not independent. How did they find themselves there?
Yeah.
They found themselves there because we opened a law through the Constitution and opened through the Constitution for them to be there. So we need to stand and say no to this kind of behavior styles.
Yeah. Dr. One thing that has been said there, brother, what I hear you say is the responsibility then of Mwananchi as well, on Wanjiko, on the kind of people that they clap for people that they give opportunities, people that they elect into office. While that as it may, then one asks the question, in the event that these messages, because they're being spewed where people are, what should Mwananchi do at that particular point? Because Mwananchi has given you the trust to be in those offices, and also goes further to trust that the bodies that they have put in place to safeguard them from such messages would also do their job. So the police, the ODPP, the EACC, the NCIC, the Mwananchi as well have said, whilst we are the ones who've elected these individuals, we're equally giving you the power to deal with any mess that would come from that. So is it a break from communication systems, understanding on what they ought to do?
First of all, what should Mwananchi do? The first thing Mwananchi should consult with another Mwananchi and make a stand. Consult another Mwananchi, and apart from them, they are not leading themselves, they are leading us. So Mwananchi should come together and make a decision as a block and say, this is our expectation. And Mwananchi should not also go looking for favors to them because the end justifies the means. Mwananchi should not also accept to go and take some handouts so that he tells other people what to do. I tell you, if Mwananchi is connected and makes a decision, those people will not be what they are. They are doing that because they know we are hero worshippers. We worship them even when they say nonsense. But if Mwananchi backs up and say, now from there I know my rights, then it will be. And then Mwananchi should should know that leadership comes with the responsibilities. Mwananchi should be so clear. Leadership comes with the responsibilities. Your office has some responsibilities. And Mwananchi should go and know this a particular office, what are the demands on this office? Then Mwananchi put those demands on them. And then require that individual in those offices and tell them, but an Inspector General, you are not Inspector General of police officers. You are Inspector General of me. So I expect you to mediate between me and my friend when you have disagreed. But when Inspector shows you are not independent enough, then I'll not trust you. And then we make decisions, as our decision is coming 2027. If 2027 comes, and then Mwananchi is going to make decisions on how many blankets he was given, then Mwananchi has also given up. His rights. So Mwananchi should take blankets, but do the right thing.
Right. Why did you feel it necessary as the NCCK to go and have a meeting with the NCIC?
So that we can put across what we are right on the cross. NCCK, we are for Wananchi. We take care of Wananchi needs. That's the mind, spirit, and soul. NCCK is a representative of the church. The church and the state, they are two sisters who work together for betterment of mankind. And anything that happens with the mankind, it affects us. NCCK works through the churches. The churches, they are speaking to the same Wanjiko on a day in. We have a forum of these people every day. So the right thing to go and sit with him and tell him, my brother, like now, the person in the office of NCIC is one of us. He's a bishop like us. So we need to go and point of figures to him and tell him, this is not right. This is not right. Put your house in order so that we can see some measurables. So that we don't sit on the road and accuse him when we don't understand. Also, we are able to understand him better. We are able to name as a person. When I'm sitting looking at you and you are looking at me, I'm able to know to get your ethical standards, to see your mindset, and then we are able to get some measurables on the round table. So to get some measurables, I sit with them and understand. Again, to let him know that's our office, not his. That's Mwananchi's office. And then we present the needs of the people we preach to every Sunday.
In that meeting with the NCIC, what did they say are their concerns? Why are they unable to do their job as expected? What's the difficulty?
For now, we have a new office. And the first thing, they are restructuring. What was left undone with the other office, they are putting in order so that they can move on and structure. And what they want is our support, so that we can support them, we can move together with them, and then we can point figures to them. Well, first of all, they are sure that they are not, they are not against us pointing fingers on them. We should point fingers on them, but we should come out with the measurables and tell them no to what they are supposed to do. Yeah.
What do you think should be the discipline or the punishment for folks who go outside the dictates of humanity, where it is that you should treat another human being with decorum and respect, that you should say things that uphold the principles of that respect? What would you imagine should be the punishment if somebody goes outside of those lines?
Simple, kick them out of leadership using structures put together with our 2 books. Make sure they don't assume to any leadership. And look for the structures on how they get to leadership and make sure they don't. And first of all, we need to know. And as preachermen, we need to put clear. Faith comes by hearing. So we need to say, this is not a leader. So what should be done? We kick them out of leadership using the laid down procedures in the Constitution. And we need to tell Wanjiku, this is not a leader. This is somebody that came in by accident. And the accident was done by you. It is you who hit the vehicle. And so Wanjiku, turn around and get the right person there. Behave like what we have seen here and there. Don't follow people's mindset. Get out of it.
From where you sit, do you think Wanjiku are ready to say no, to call them out whenever these messages are being spewed?
Wanjiku needs education. He needs education from me and you. The biggest threat of Wanjiku is the elites, the political elites, the academic elites. Those are the people, because Wanjiku trusts them. He took them to school. He thinks they are genuine, and yet they are not genuine. So they come and tell Wanjiku what's not there. They come and tell Wanjiku how the schools are working. And Wanjiku has no way of making sure that they are not working until she goes to hospital. Then she realizes there are no medicine in the hospital. Until she's stuck there. Her children has not been school has not been paid. And then she's told there's free education. And so, are we able to unveil specifics to Wanjiku as the academic elites? Are we able to unveil the political elites? Are we able to run away from that manipulation for domination so that Wanjiku will understand where we are coming from? And then we that speak from the pulpit, do we speak the truth and the truth alone?
Do you?
Yes, we do. Because we follow the first book, the scripture, the other book, the Constitution. But the Constitution is you to follow it. I'm also part of the Constitution,
right? But
it's you to unveil it to Wananchi.
You know, these statements that we hear being spewed right now, one would not have to look back. We just have to go back to 2007, 2008, post-election violence and what that did to this country. And with the reports that you've seen from the Kofi Annan Foundation, who was the broker that brought peace after the 2007, the foundation has warned that Kenya is highly likely to find itself back in 2007, or even worse than what we experienced back then. Yet you look at what is being said, especially by the political class, and it's cause for alarm. For us not to end up there right now with NCIC and all these bodies moving in and securing this country, what must we, Wananchi, the clergy, the police and all these agencies do so that we don't head up to 2007?
This is the time we need to be together than before. This is the time we need to be thinking together. This is the time we need to be consulting from all the religious leaders, the government officers, and other people. Internationally, we need to be consulted, because where we are heading, we will head to see anything like 2027. Not only that, we also need to come back to our senses and ask ourselves, are we only going to complain when we are nearing general election, or when commissions are set, we look in those commissions and established and be able to accomplish what they told us? There is the curricular report. How far did we go about the curricular report? Yeah. The Annan, the 4 agendas of the Annan Commission, have we worked on them? Agenda 4, how far are we? So what are we supposed to do? Again, me and you, we need to be smart enough to go to those reports. After even 2027, 2028, we need to go and ask the systems, have we done anything with the Agenda 4 of the Annan report? What have we done about it? The Greek report, the things he mentioned, what are we doing about it? So that should be the question. And then we, in the where we are, we need to ask ourselves, who is supposed to do this? Instead of just abusing one another, instead of gaslighting one another, we need to sit down and go to those agendas. But this has been a weakness because people benefit out of it. Some politicians will not want those agendas to be tabled on the table because what happens? They benefit out of it. That's why I started by saying politicians are not enemies. Actually, politicians are friends. It's just their interest. Even when you see them right now calling others, you are not going to make it, I am going to make it, you'll be surprised to see them come back together, again, look at us and laugh at us because we are their food. They are just playing around with us. When you see them abuse one another, they are not serious. They are just trying to make food on the table. We are their food. So Kenyans are supposed to be better than that and jump out from this where our slumber and say no.
So Kenyans have said no previously. Kenyans have been in a position where they've come out to protest over some of these things. The Agenda 4 that you talk about, the entrenchment of certain reports to ensure that those are actually alive in society. And what they've been met by unfortunately, is disappearances, arrests, disallowance to then be in a position of protest. Because you have to admit, Doc, that some of these things, it's not a happy conversation that you're going to have and say, oh, please then allow me to live within the... Some of them are going to be difficult. But the Constitution also then allows you to protest some of these things to make that you actually do your job. But if you're met by violence, if you're met by disappearances, if you're met by torture, and if you're met by death, the likely...
We need to find a way to deal with the impunity. We need to find a way to deal with this spirit utadu. And how do we do this? First of all, Kenyans should be united than before. Kenyans should come together as religious organization. We all need to join other organizations, like the Interreligious Council of Kenya, the NCCK. We need to be part and parcel of those movements so that these movements, civil society, so that these movements will be able to unveil these things without focusing on individualism. And then also Kenyans also need to change in their mind, in their mindset of where I come from, regional mindset, to become Kenyans. If we all become Kenyans from morning to evening, without turning back to regionalism, we'll deal with those things in a day's time. We'll be able to fight that kind of impunity. Because this impunity is used when you go back to your own cocoon and think that you are being safeguarded. When you steal, they say, this is our thief. But if Kenyans will pick their two books and say, if you are not part of this book, you are not a Kenyan. And if you are Kenyan, you stay at home, not in leadership. All these things ends up leadership. Everything is leadership. And you know what? My good book of Genesis 1, it speaks and says, man was created and then he was told, go and have dominion. The reason why man was created is to have dominion. That is management. All these things you talk about, it's because of leadership. So long as you get wrong leadership in place, people don't understand that leadership is there to lead. Leadership is opportunity to serve, then you'll get in that mess. So we need to do a lot of training. We call upon organizations to train, especially this time before 2027. This is the time we need to bring young people together and train of expectation, what we expect. We in the religious space, we need to bring those Christians together and agree to be there. Kenyans need to agree to join this organization to understand. Don't be alone. Stick together. Then we'll be able to get ways out. Are we going to get resistance? Yes, resistance will be there. That's why I said these people, they abuse one another because they gain out of those abuses. They abuse one another because out of it, that's their cup of tea. So what are we supposed to do? We need to identify.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to